So welcome everyone. We have another great before and after success, Victor. So hi Victor, how are you?
Hi, doctor. How are you?
Good. Where do you live now? Are you in Texas?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, great. So Vic, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about where you were before and what your weight was and what was going on, and then how you transitioned over, because you lost a good amount of weight. The pictures were amazing. Can you tell me when it all started?
Yeah. So essentially, um, July of last year, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, um, chronic sleep apnea, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, the whole deal. And I realized at that point that I had to make a change, but I really wasn't ready per se.
Right.
So I continue the typical, I call it the SAD, standard American diet, following the doctor's opinions, and it wasn't working, wasn't doing anything. So my uncle, he has been on ketosis at that point going on 2 years, and he's always mentioned it to me, and I've seen how he's gotten better and reversed his pre-diabetes and all that. And I'm like, well, I'm already screwed, so what do I have to lose?
Wow.
It won't hurt.
Did you have
So
diabetes at that time?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Were you actually diagnosed with diabetes, or was it a pre-diabetic?
He was diagnosed with pre-diabetes.
What about you?
I was diagnosed with full-blown type 2 with the A1C of 12.
Wow. Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
So at that point, A1C was 12. I was 319 pounds. I'm only 5'4", so it was bad.
Wow.
My triglycerides at that time, where I believe on my lab work, was 1350 or 1370. It was bad. Yeah.
Wow.
So January 1st is when I made a commitment, as well as my wife, to start keto. I did a lot of research, watching your videos, and as well as the large low carb community. And I wanted to do it by the book, strict. So 20 grams total per day, protein as a goal, and then fat to satiety. Don't go overboard, but as long as I'm satisfied. All natural, all organic. I switched from grain-fed to grass-fed beef and butter, pasture-raised eggs, no artificial sweeteners. Right now we use stevia for our sweetener in our coffee. So we just made a huge change. Since then, so we're now July, I weigh myself every Sunday. I'm 192 pounds. My last month, my doctor advised me that my diabetes has been reversed. I have an A1C of 5.2, I believe, or 5.4, one of those two. My triglycerides went from 1375 to a little over 100.
That's normal.
Everything has just improved. All my markers have improved. Cholesterol is level. It's normal. A
Wow.
dramatic change.
That's basically a miracle, because in that period of time, that's like, we're only talking 6 months.
Yeah.
You lost more than 100 pounds in 6 months. That's a record. That's amazing.
Yeah. No exercise.
Well done. How do you
Thank
feel?
you.
Do you feel more energetic?
You know, I'm 28, turning 29 this year, and I've always, even being so young, I've always felt sluggish. Obviously, with all that weight, I would never get a good quality sleep. My wife would have to wake me up because she was afraid that I would stop breathing and I'd be, gasping for air. Now, it's a blessing. I mean, I have never felt as good as I feel now. I don't even think when I was younger I felt this way.
Wow.
It's just, I can't even explain how grateful I am for my uncle pushing me to learn about this, and me and my wife being able to take on this new journey and really opening our eyes as to how we were initially intended to eat.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of like me. You kind of waited to the last minute, didn't you?
Exactly.
What was your justifier? Did you just say, "Well, I'm young. I'll do it when I get older. I enjoy foods. Like what was going through your mind?
Well, I do have 3 kids, and they are young. I have a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. And that was my biggest motivation. I realized that, when you're heavy and you're sick, you don't feel good. You don't have the energy to do things. You're always just tired. And so I wanted to be able to get my life back, with my health. And so that way I can be there for my kids and for my wife and for my family. And I had to make a change. And I think, luckily, going to the doctor when I did and learning that I had all these issues, and my wife and my kids were there listening to all this from my doctor at the time, is what really made me think, like, man, if I don't change, I might not be here longer. And the doctor even said, the only reason why you're still okay is because of your age. You're a ticking time bomb. So if you don't make a change now, you might not be able to, experience all these beautiful things in life. So that in conjunction with my family is what made me wake up.
How many kids do you have?
3.
See, I had 3 kids when I was 28 as well. I hit my bottom. Same timing. It was like I was exhausted. We'd go to the airport, fly somewhere, and these kids, they were exhausting me. They were like, going this way, that way. I'm like, I'm so tired. Read me a story at night. I'm like, I'm too tired, constantly dragging. But yeah, it's like at some point you shifted, and now you wanted some change. Because a lot of people they're actually below help. You try to help them, and they're not ready. So,
Exactly.
And I think probably if you didn't have a weight problem and didn't have a diabetes problem, you probably just keep going and just keep eating the same thing, and it didn't wake you up. So give me an example of what you eat now. Like how many meals you have, and then what do you eat?
Okay. So when I started keto back in January, I started with 3 meals plus snacking, which now I'm nowhere near that. Now I only have my coffee in the morning with heavy cream, add a little bit of collagen, protein, grass-fed collagen in there, because I do have, with the excess weight loss, loose skin, and so I'm trying to tighten that up. And a little bit of butter, and that gets me going from 5 in the morning when I start work until I get home around 2 o'clock, and I have my main meal. I have a fatty cut of meat with some low-carb vegetables sautéed in some good quality olive oil or grass-fed butter, and I'm done. So technically one real meal. And I combine that with intermittent fasting.
So that's it? That's your meal for the day?
That's it.
Wow. See, this is a really good example because guys like you're 192 pounds and you're doing one meal. Like, see, what people are scared. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be starving. I'm going to starving. Well, your body is using your own energy that's stored. It's using your fat energy when you're not eating. So you're not starving. You look pretty healthy. Your face, everything. I mean, it's amazing. Wow. Well done. So,
and I combine it with intermittent fasting. I do the 16/8 intermittent fasting.
And really, 16/8. Okay. So your other meal is really like the coffee with the collagen, right? That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So that gives your body a huge change to reset. Now, are you doing fine with your hunger and cravings?
Very little cravings at all. I'm really hungry for the most part. My energy is it's crazy amount of energy that I have with, just drinking coffee in the morning with butter and full fat cream, how I'm able to go through the whole day. And sometimes I get home and I'm like, I can do more things and I'm not even thinking about food.
Do you eventually get hungry or you just eat because you just have to?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, like I just don't get hungry anymore. It's like, well, that's right, I have to go eat. It's weird. But question I have, do you have anyone that has like been watching you before and then noticed you and like didn't even recognize you? Like, what the heck are you doing? Are other people surprised or what?
It's really amazing. My family, my coworkers at work, um, they can't believe, in such a short amount of time, I went from I'm totally a different person. Um, it's scary when I look at those pictures. I didn't realize at that time how bad and how unhealthy I looked. And when I look at myself now, I'm a new person. And everyone asks me, they can't believe they see me eating the stuff that I ate, and they're like, "Oh, that's so unhealthy. You're gonna clog your arteries." And they're eating, typical sad food, full of carbs and processed and refined sugars, and that's just what they've been brainwashed to eat. That's what they think is good because that's what their quote unquote doctor says. Because how it is. That's the typical. That's the norm. And so what I do is I just try to I give people the information. I'm like, look, this is all personal decision. You got to do what's best for you. Do your research first, and then you'll come back to me later. And a lot of people are like, yeah, well, he's only been doing it for 6 months. Let's see him in a year. Well, they'll see me in a year. They'll see me in 5 years. No medication, living a good quality life. So this is a life that I plan to live for as long as possible. So I'm very, very happy, and I try to promote this as much as I can. And one other big motivation is my dad. He's been type 2 diabetic for many, many years. And thank God I was able to go visit him this 4th of July weekend, and I was finally able to convince him. I cooked for him every single meal to start ketosis, and he's now going on 2 weeks, and he's already off of metformin.
That's awesome.
His doctors, did not want him to do this. They told him that he's crazy, that he's going to die, that don't listen to your son, that he's not this and this and that. Even though we provided them with the scientific research and all this information that's there, they just did not want to do it. And he took the risk, and he listened to me because I am proof that it works. There is no a lot of people think that, oh, well, you're young, so diabetes can get reversed. No, there is no difference. When you're diabetic, you're diabetic. It's not progressive disease like all these doctors say. It can be reversed with just food. So he is now getting regulated on his own. I am helping him every day. I send him recipes. I refer him to your recipes. And he's a very firm believer. And so this is working for him as well.
That's awesome, Victor. I just want to say one last thing. There's this kind of this movement that's they're pushing the avoid saturated fats as the culprit for all the problems, and they're not really emphasizing the sugar. That's false data. Unfortunately, some people are confused by it. You take here's just another proof. There's another guy who is eating saturated fats, but cutting out the real culprit, which is the sugar, which is behind so many problems, insulin resistance. And I think now that you've experienced that, until a person experiences, they won't have the true knowledge. Knowledge comes from, you have to do something to get the knowledge. You just can't believe someone and then they go, okay, this did work. And then enough times it's like, it doesn't matter what someone says, I know that works, so you have the knowingness. So that's well done, Victor. I'm really amazed at how well you did, and you stuck to it, and you just decided. So awesome. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, and thanks for the interview, and I think it'll inspire a lot of people.
That's the goal.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great afternoon, okay?
Thank you, doctor. You too. Take care.
You're welcome. Okay.